When Earth finally earned a seat in the Galactic Council, people all over the world felt a sense of hope. For the first time, humans were invited into a place where hundreds of advanced civilizations gathered to discuss peace, trade, and the future of the galaxy. Many said it was the greatest moment in human history. News channels ran special broadcasts. Children stayed up late to watch the ceremony, and leaders from different countries stood together with genuine pride. It was one of those rare moments when humanity felt united, but that hope did not survive the first meeting. The council chamber was a massive place. Its ceiling looked like an open night sky, filled with soft moving lights that made it feel alive. Representatives from many worlds sat in curved rows, each group in its own section. Humans were given a small corner area, almost like a guest seat, rather than a real place at the table. Still, the human team walked in with calm confidence. They believed respect would come with time. The moment the humans entered, a faint ripple of whispers spread among the other species. Some watched the newcomers with curiosity, some with amusement, and some with clear disrespect. The human representatives tried not to let it bother them. They had promised each other they would remain composed, no matter what happened. The session began with routine announcements. Then, without warning, one of the senior council speakers turned toward the human delegation. His voice echoed across the chamber, amplified by the hall's built-in sound system. "Humanity," he said in a tone that carried no kindness, "we welcome your presence, though your development level is questionable." Several representatives from other planets made soft sounds that could only be described as laughter. The speaker continued, his words slow and sharp. "You are an emotional, unstable species. Your technology is crude. Your history shows constant conflict among yourselves. We wonder what value you can offer this council." The humans sat still. Not one of them moved. Not one of them replied. Cameras from across the galaxy streamed the scene live, and billions saw the insult in real time. Another council member added more criticism, almost enjoying the moment. He claimed humans were unpredictable. He called them impatient. He suggested Earth had only earned its seat because a few sympathetic planets pushed for inclusion. The tone was mocking, not diplomatic. It felt less like a welcome and more like a public humiliation. For a few seconds, Earth's representatives simply absorbed the words. They had expected some hesitation, maybe a cold welcome, but not open disrespect. They knew billions of people back home were watching, and that made the moment feel even heavier. Yet the human team did something unexpected. They did not push back. They did not speak with anger. Instead, their lead representative answered with calm and steady words. He thanked the council for the opportunity to be present. He said humanity would prove its value through action, not arguments. And he ended with a simple statement, delivered with quiet strength. "Every species in this chamber started somewhere," he said. "Earth is no different. We learn quickly. We adapt quickly. And we will contribute in ways you do not expect." Some council members exchanged looks, not moved but slightly unsettled. They had expected the humans to argue or lose control. When that didn't happen, the insult lost some of its power. The meeting continued, but the atmosphere had already changed. The council had spoken, and humanity had been publicly dismissed. Back on Earth, reactions were intense. People felt angry, embarrassed, and confused. Commentators on news channels asked how such disrespect could happen on a stage meant for unity. Social media exploded with frustration. Some demanded Earth withdraw from the council altogether. Others said the insult should motivate humanity to work harder. But almost everyone felt the same sting of disrespect. Earth's leaders met privately only hours after the broadcast. They gathered in a secure room, far from cameras, far from public pressure. The mood was serious. They understood something important had happened, something bigger than a few harsh words. The insult was a message. The council did not see humans as equals. Maybe they never had, but instead of reacting with emotion, the leaders took a measured approach. They agreed that Earth must not respond with anger or fear. Instead, they needed a strategy. If humanity wanted respect, they would have to earn it, not demand it. They would have to show what humans were capable, not through war or confrontation, but through achievements and unity. A quiet idea formed during that meeting, shared first softly, then with growing confidence. The idea was simple but powerful. Let the council underestimate humanity. Let them think Earth is weak. Let them stay blind while humans rise faster than anyone expects. Pride can hide the truth, and the council was clearly proud. The human representatives who had sat through the insult, without reacting, were invited to the same private meeting. They said the same thing: patience. They believed the insult could become an advantage. If the council thought humanity was not a threat, they would not interfere with Earth's progress. Humans could grow in peace, sharpen their skills, and build new technologies without drawing attention. Over the next several days, people on Earth slowly shifted from anger to determination. Scientists talked about accelerating research. Engineers discussed new ideas. Students said they wanted to work harder. Even ordinary families, watching the news from their living rooms, felt a spark of motivation. Something about being underestimated triggered a quiet fire in people. It was almost as if the insult had united humanity more than any celebration could dot in the weeks that followed. Earth began reorganizing. Different nations started sharing information more openly. The idea of competition among countries softened as everyone realized they needed each other. Humanity had been insulted as a whole, not as separate nations, and that brought a new sense of unity. Meanwhile, the human diplomat who had answered the council with calm words kept working behind the scenes. He held small meetings, gathered information, and studied how other civilizations operated. He understood something very important. To change the council's opinion, humanity needed more than science and technology. They needed presence. They needed a voice strong enough to be respected. He began shaping a long-term plan, one that would unfold slowly and quietly. A plan built on growth, intelligence, patience, and strategy. The council's insult was not the end. It was the beginning of a transformation no one in the galaxy expected. Humanity was not planning revenge. They were planning progress, but the galaxy would soon learn that progress can feel a lot like power dot, and power always changes everything. After the council's insult, the world changed in ways most people did not immediately notice. The words spoken in that massive chamber echoed across Earth, but they did more than hurt pride. They lit a quiet fire of determination in people's hearts. It started with small acts: students staying late in labs, engineers testing designs that once seemed impossible, communities sharing ideas instead of competing. Across nations, the sense of urgency was palpable. Humanity realized it had to rise, not just for itself, but to prove the galaxy wrong. Scientists were the first to respond. They had always been curious, always pushing boundaries, but now their curiosity had a new edge. Teams once working independently started to collaborate internationally. A researcher in Europe shared her experiments with a team in Asia. An engineer in South America combined his propulsion designs with software developed in North America. It was an unusual, almost unprecedented effort. Competition was set aside, replaced with cooperation fueled by a shared purpose. For the first time in decades, humanity felt truly united. Governments began to support these efforts in ways they had not before. Funding poured into programs designed to push the limits of technology. The focus was not just on weapons or military power, but on innovation that could change life for everyone on Earth, and eventually show the galaxy that humans were capable of far more than they were given credit for. Cities that had been struggling with infrastructure issues became test beds for advanced energy systems, transportation networks, and communication networks. The public noticed progress in ways they could see and feel: cleaner energy, faster travel, better medical systems. It was the first sign that Earth was quietly getting stronger. At the same time, the diplomats who had faced the Council's scorn worked tirelessly to learn about other civilizations. They studied their customs, politics, and strengths. They paid attention to weaknesses, but only to understand how humanity could navigate the galaxy without unnecessary conflict. Information was gathered not for revenge, but for preparation. Humanity wanted respect, and respect came from competence, not aggression. Education became a global priority. Schools shifted focus to science, engineering, and critical thinking, but also emphasized ethics and diplomacy. Children learned that the galaxy was watching and that their actions mattered, even in small ways. Communities began to teach cooperation as a core value, not just competition. This cultural shift, subtle as it was, spread quickly. People started to see themselves as part of a larger human effort, something bigger than any single country or leader. One of the most important changes was in technology. Engineers and scientists focused on areas that had once seemed impossible. They improved satellite networks to monitor the Earth and space. They developed energy systems that could last longer and use fewer resources. They refined spacecraft propulsion, making travel between planets faster and safer. At first, these projects were small, almost experimental, but soon they began producing results that other civilizations could not ignore. Even in everyday life, people felt the shift. Cities that had been chaotic became models of efficiency. Transportation systems improved. Communication networks became faster and more reliable. People noticed that life was getting easier, that progress was happening quietly but steadily. This invisible growth made humans feel stronger. The Council's insult had sparked not anger alone, but a determination to prove capability through results. Meanwhile, the Council continued with its meetings, oblivious to Earth's quiet transformation. Some members dismissed the early reports of progress as minor achievements, unworthy of serious attention. They still saw humanity as unpredictable, emotional, and inferior. This underestimation became a key advantage. Humans worked without interference, steadily building infrastructure, knowledge, and technology, while other civilizations assumed they were still weak. Behind the scenes, military leaders and strategists began thinking long-term. They were careful not to alarm other civilizations, but they understood that progress had to include defense. They designed systems that could protect Earth, not to start a war, but to ensure security if the galaxy ever underestimated them again. They worked in secret, making sure that if humanity were tested, it would be ready. Even the cultural aspects of humanity began to evolve. Art, literature, and music took on new themes. They reflected resilience, innovation, and unity. Stories of human ingenuity and courage became common. Citizens felt a shared identity that went beyond nationality or language. People were proud, not because they had power yet, but because they were growing together in a deliberate, focused way. Public morale improved as the evidence of progress became visible. A new space station, designed entirely by humans, was launched successfully. It functioned more efficiently than older stations built by older civilizations. A new energy system powered cities with nearly zero waste. Researchers discovered ways to purify water and recycle resources better than ever before. The galaxy watched these projects quietly, but no one in the Council fully understood the magnitude of what humanity was achieving. At the same time, ordinary citizens contributed in small but meaningful ways. Volunteers joined local innovation hubs, students shared ideas online, and engineers offered advice to new startups. It became a culture of participation where everyone felt they had a role in shaping Earth's future. Even those who had once felt powerless now had a sense of agency. Humanity's collective effort was becoming a force that could not be ignored. Despite these accomplishments, humans remained humble in public. Diplomats still treated other civilizations with courtesy, even when they had outperformed them in certain areas. Scientists shared knowledge freely when it was safe, and leaders focused on preparation, not provocation. The goal was not to dominate the galaxy immediately, but to show that humanity could grow rapidly and responsibly. Over time, other civilizations started to notice. Minor worlds, those with less influence in the Council, began reaching out to Earth for cooperation. They sought technical advice, trade agreements, and cultural exchange. Some of these smaller alliances were quiet, almost invisible, but they gave humanity experience in interstellar relations. They were learning not just to innovate, but to communicate, negotiate, and lead. Earth citizens followed the progress eagerly. News channels reported on space missions, clean energy projects, and technological breakthroughs. People took pride in knowing that their world was no longer as small or vulnerable as it once seemed. Communities organized events to celebrate innovation, and schools taught students about humanity's growing role in the galaxy. The insult from the Council became a distant memory, replaced by a determination to prove worth through action. Despite these successes, there was still caution. Leaders reminded everyone that progress alone was not enough. Respect in the galaxy required consistency, intelligence, and patience. Humanity had to grow quietly, steadily, and strategically. They could not afford to make mistakes that might provoke aggression before they were ready. The memory of the insult served as a constant reminder that the galaxy could be cruel, but it also became a source of motivation. The next few years were marked by rapid yet controlled development. Humans achieved milestones that had once seemed decades away. Space travel became routine within the solar system. Earth developed a global communications network that connected not just continents, but research stations, satellites, and orbital colonies. Medical advancements extended life expectancy and quality of life, allowing humans to focus more on innovation. Education improved globally, and new generations grew up understanding that their world was capable of greatness. By the end of this period, humanity had transformed. The Council still did not recognize the full extent of the change. Many members continued to treat Earth as a curiosity, but some began to whisper about the progress they could no longer ignore. Minor civilizations openly respected Earth, and the foundations were laid for larger alliances. Humanity was no longer the species that had been insulted in that grand chamber. They were a growing, capable, and united civilization, quietly preparing for the moment when the galaxy would have to acknowledge them. The insult that had once wounded the world had become a turning point. It had sparked innovation, unity, and determination. It had shown humans that their greatest strength lay not in confrontation, but in patience, intelligence, and cooperation. The journey was just beginning, but humanity had already taken its first steps toward proving that they could rise, even in a galaxy that had doubted them. And in that quiet, patient growth, Earth discovered a truth that no insult could erase. When underestimated, humans did not falter. They learned, adapted, and prepared. They were no longer simply survivors. They were a civilization awakening to its full potential. The quiet work on Earth was beginning to show results. Years of collaboration, research, and careful planning had made humans stronger than anyone had expected. What had started as secret projects and small achievements now became visible signs of progress. Satellites orbited more efficiently, communication systems worked across vast distances, and space travel within the solar system had become routine. People began to realize that Earth was no longer the same planet that the Council had dismissed. Even as progress became obvious, humans did not celebrate openly. Instead, they focused on the next steps, knowing that true recognition in the galaxy would come from consistent capability, not flashy displays. Engineers were working on new propulsion systems that could carry humans beyond the solar system faster than ever before. Scientists were perfecting clean energy systems that could power entire cities without depending on finite resources. And diplomats were learning how to negotiate with alien civilizations, understanding their customs and preferences in ways that could give humanity an advantage without causing offense. Despite the growth, tension remained. The Council continued its meetings, often ignoring Earth or speaking of humans in dismissive terms. Their words were not as harsh as before, but the attitude had not changed. Some members even suggested that humans were lucky to be included and would never truly compete with older civilizations. This underestimation became a critical advantage. Humanity's leaders understood that the galaxy believed Earth was still weak, so they could continue building quietly, without interference. The first signs of real tension came when humans began to demonstrate small technological achievements publicly. A new research station was launched into orbit, fully built and operated by humans. Its systems were faster, more efficient, and more reliable than older stations created by other civilizations. Council observers who visited the station were impressed, though they did not publicly acknowledge it. They assumed it was a one-time success, not realizing that Earth was producing many such projects at once. In multiple locations, Earth's diplomats also noticed that the Council was starting to underestimate the humans in new ways. During meetings, they would casually mention human projects or innovations, expecting dismissive comments or jokes. Instead, the humans remained calm and composed, explaining their progress without arrogance. This strategy frustrated some council members. They had expected humans to react emotionally or brag, but the quiet confidence was unsettling. On Earth, citizens were increasingly aware of their growing influence. News channels covered technological breakthroughs and space missions with excitement. Families discussed how life was improving. Cities were more efficient, transportation networks faster, and energy systems cleaner. Even small communities noticed the change. People who had once felt powerless now had a sense that they were part of something greater. They were contributing in ways both big and small to a planet that was steadily proving itself capable. While progress was visible, humans remained strategic. They avoided showing their full strength too early. They knew the galaxy was watching, and a sudden display of power could trigger fear or hostility before humanity was ready. Instead, they chose carefully timed demonstrations. For example, when a new energy system powered an entire city for months without a single failure, humans quietly shared the data with smaller, friendly civilizations first. These civilizations were amazed, and word spread slowly. By the time the Council fully noticed, Earth had already gained subtle influence. Science continued to advance at an incredible pace. New propulsion technology allowed humans to travel farther and faster within the solar system, and experiments in advanced materials made ships stronger and lighter. Medical research extended human life expectancy, while breakthroughs in communication allowed real time conversations between distant space stations and cities on Earth. These achievements were more than science. They were proof that humanity could learn quickly and adapt to challenges. Even ordinary citizens felt the changes in their daily lives. Schools emphasized problem-solving, critical thinking, and cooperation rather than just memorization. Students were encouraged to imagine solutions for real-world problems, from energy efficiency to climate change. Communities started innovation hubs where people of all ages could contribute ideas. Volunteers helped with space research programs, engineers offered mentorship, and ordinary citizens became part of a global effort to make Earth stronger. The transformation was not limited to technology. Human culture also shifted in subtle but important ways. Stories, books, and films celebrated cooperation, intelligence, and ingenuity. Music, art, and theater often focused on resilience and human potential. Even public celebrations emphasized unity and achievement. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer just a single nation or culture. It was a global species, growing together, learning together, and ready to face the galaxy with confidence. As Earth's progress became more apparent, smaller civilizations in the galaxy began to notice. Minor planets and trading hubs reached out for cooperation, requesting advice or collaboration in technology and resources. They admired Earth's efficiency and innovation and were eager to form alliances. These early partnerships were crucial. They gave humanity experience in interstellar diplomacy and prepared humans for larger challenges. The Council, meanwhile, continued to underestimate the humans, assuming that these smaller partnerships were inconsequential. Humans were careful to maintain humility in all interactions. Even when other civilizations praised them, they responded with respect and shared knowledge generously. Diplomats explained that humanity wanted to contribute, not dominate. Scientists collaborated openly when possible, and engineers provided solutions to shared problems. This approach won trust slowly, but it was effective. By the time the Council fully realized that humans were building influence, Earth had already secured a network of allies who respected and supported them. Despite the outward calm, there was still awareness of risk. Earth's leaders knew that being underestimated was an advantage, but they also knew that any mistake could provoke hostility. Every new technology was tested extensively, every space mission planned meticulously, and every diplomatic interaction calculated carefully. Humans were growing stronger, but they were also cautious. Understanding that patience was just as important as power, tensions subtly increased during council meetings. Humans presented progress reports, demonstrating scientific breakthroughs or technological innovations. Some council members responded with mild surprise, but most tried to remain dismissive. This frustration became more obvious when human diplomats explained that several minor civilizations had begun seeking Earth's guidance on resource management and energy. The Council had expected these alliances to be inconsequential, but they were beginning to notice the growing respect Earth commanded. The key to Earth's strategy was consistent performance. Humans did not brag or threaten. They simply delivered results, again and again. Whether it was launching satellites, improving energy systems, or negotiating small alliances, humans demonstrated competence quietly but clearly. Other civilizations began to realize that the species they had once dismissed could think, adapt, and achieve in ways that rivaled much older worlds. Public morale on Earth was strong. Citizens took pride in knowing that their planet was quietly proving itself across the galaxy. The insult that had once been so painful now served as motivation. People shared ideas, volunteered for projects, and celebrated scientific breakthroughs as if each small victory was part of a larger global effort. It was not just about technology or diplomacy. It was about a shared belief that humanity could rise. The moment of first real visibility came when a human research station successfully completed a mission that even some council members considered difficult. The station's experiments produced results far beyond expectations, and data confirmed that humans were capable of achieving complex tasks with efficiency and creativity. News of this success spread through smaller civilizations first, generating admiration and quietly building Earth's influence. Council members could no longer ignore Earth completely. Some began to observe cautiously, curious about how humans had progressed so rapidly. They asked questions during meetings, often testing human responses with subtle challenges or hypotheticals. Humans remained calm and confident, answering with clarity and intelligence. The old perception of humans as emotional and weak began to crumble. Even if the Council did not publicly acknowledge it, humans understood that perception mattered. they continued to demonstrate capability without arrogance, always showing willingness to collaborate, teach, and share knowledge. This approach earned trust and respect from smaller civilizations, while frustrating council members who had expected humans to react defensively or aggressively. The quiet strength of humanity became apparent, and it was only a matter of time before larger civilizations could not ignore it either. Through these years, humanity learned an important lesson. Progress was not just about technology or alliances. It was about patience, consistency, and integrity. Every successful mission, every new innovation, every careful diplomatic interaction contributed to a growing reputation. Humans were proving themselves not by showing off By now, humanity had grown quietly but steadily, and the results of their work were impossible to ignore. Earth cities were thriving, energy systems worked more efficiently than ever before, and space missions were successful almost every time. People across the planet felt the progress. They had learned patience and persistence, and the knowledge that they were building something greater than themselves gave them pride. But Earth's leaders and strategists knew that patience alone would not be enough. At some point, humanity would need to step forward and show the galaxy the full extent of their growth. The first step was careful observation. Diplomats and scientists had been studying other civilizations for years, learning their strengths, weaknesses, and politics. They knew which worlds were likely to support humanity and which would resist. Every project, every mission, and every new achievement was measured against the understanding that the galaxy was watching. Humanity wanted to show its strength without causing fear or unnecessary conflict. They wanted to earn respect, not provoke hostility. The first public demonstration was planned with precision. A new human space station, larger and more advanced than anything the Council had ever built, was prepared for launch. This station was capable of performing multiple functions: research, communication, and observation of deep space. But it was also designed to be visible from afar. Cameras on alien worlds would be able to see it. Satellites could transmit its image across light years. And the station itself was equipped with subtle displays that highlighted human technological mastery. The day of the launch was celebrated quietly but widely. Citizens across the world watched as the massive rocket lifted off from Earth's surface. For years, humanity had been building toward this moment. Scientists and engineers had coordinated across continents, sharing data, solving problems, and refining every detail. Families in their homes cheered quietly. Children watched the rocket ascend, imagining the possibilities that lay beyond their own world. The launch was flawless, and the station reached orbit exactly as planned. Once in place, the station began its operations. Its systems worked efficiently, conducting experiments in energy production, propulsion, and materials science. Data was transmitted to Earth in real time, allowing researchers to continue refining their technology. Smaller civilizations who were monitoring the launch sent messages of admiration, impressed by the scale and precision of the mission. Earth had taken its first visible step into the galaxy, demonstrating that humans could achieve complex goals reliably and efficiently. But Earth's leaders knew that one demonstration was not enough. The Council might still dismiss it as a single success or a lucky achievement. They needed multiple signs of human capability across different areas: technology, diplomacy, and coordination. And so, humans planned a second project, even more ambitious than the first. This time, the effort involved interplanetary travel within the solar system. A team of human explorers prepared a spacecraft capable of traveling farther and faster than any before. It was equipped with advanced navigation systems, life support, and research labs. The mission was designed to be visible to multiple worlds, but its success depended on flawless execution. Engineers, pilots, and scientists worked together, testing every system repeatedly. The goal was not just to reach another planet, but to complete research that would benefit both Earth and other civilizations. The launch of the interplanetary mission was a global event. Citizens gathered to watch the rocket ascend, and news channels broadcasted every detail. The spacecraft traveled faster than expected, arrived at its destination without incident, and returned to Earth with groundbreaking data. This mission not only demonstrated human technical skill, but also their ability to plan, coordinate, and execute complex operations under pressure. The Council could no longer dismiss humans as incapable or unprepared. Meanwhile, diplomats worked tirelessly to expand Earth's influence quietly. They reached out to minor civilizations, offering technical assistance, trade agreements, and cultural exchanges. These interactions were subtle, designed to build trust without drawing aggressive attention. Other worlds began to rely on humans for guidance and cooperation. Alliances grew slowly but steadily, giving Earth a network of support that could be useful in the future. The success of these projects also inspired people on Earth. Schools incorporated lessons from the missions, teaching students about problem-solving, teamwork, and innovation. Communities organized workshops and clubs focused on science, engineering, and exploration. Even ordinary citizens found ways to contribute, volunteering for local initiatives, or sharing ideas online. The sense of participation and pride spread across the planet, reinforcing the idea that humanity was capable of achieving greatness together. Despite the outward success, Earth remained cautious. Leaders and strategists were careful to avoid making the Council feel threatened. They understood that a sudden display of full power could provoke retaliation. Instead, humans focused on consistency, demonstrating capability in multiple areas without arrogance. This approach won respect slowly but steadily, building a reputation that would be difficult to ignore. The Council began to notice subtle changes. Humans were no longer just participants, they were contributors. Reports of Earth's projects circulated among the member worlds, and minor civilizations began asking questions and seeking advice. Some Council members were surprised at the efficiency and reliability of human technology. Others grew concerned that their assumptions about Earth were no longer valid. They began to watch human activities more closely, realizing that underestimating humans could be a mistake. At the same time, Earth's leaders continued preparing for the future. They understood that respect in the galaxy would not come from a single success, but from sustained achievement. New projects were planned, combining technological, diplomatic, and cultural advancements. Humans learned to balance visibility with discretion, showing enough to earn attention without provoking fear or hostility. The public also played a role in this process. Citizens celebrated Earth's successes, shared knowledge, and inspired new generations to contribute. Communities organized events to honor scientists, engineers, and diplomats, emphasizing the collective effort behind every achievement. People began to see themselves as part of a larger story, a story of humanity rising together in a galaxy that had once dismissed them. As Earth continued to demonstrate its capabilities, the Council's attitude slowly began to shift. Some members started to speak more respectfully of humans, though grudgingly. They still underestimated the full extent of Earth's progress, but the perception of weakness was fading. Humans were no longer the emotional, unpredictable species the Council had mocked. They were deliberate, capable, and increasingly influential. This transformation did not happen overnight. It was the result of years of careful planning, hard work, and strategic patience. Every mission, every innovation, and every diplomatic effort contributed to the growing reputation of humanity. The insult that had once wounded the world had become a driving force, motivating humans to achieve things they might never have imagined otherwise. Earth had reached a critical moment. The planet had demonstrated its technological and diplomatic capabilities repeatedly, quietly building alliances and earning respect. The stage was set for the next step, a visible assertion of strength that could no longer be ignored by the Council, or the galaxy at large. Humans were ready to move from quiet progress to bold action, showing that their species was no longer to be underestimated. Through all this, humanity remained united. Citizens, scientists, engineers, diplomats, and leaders understood the importance of patience, coordination, and consistency. They had learned that true power came not from aggression, but from preparation, intelligence, and collaboration. The galaxy would soon see the results of decades of careful effort, a species underestimated, yet capable of achieving greatness beyond expectation. And in the quiet determination of everyday people, Earth discovered something extraordinary. When a world works together, patiently and intelligently, it can rise far beyond what others imagine. The galaxy had assumed humans were weak, emotional, and unprepared. But Earth had grown stronger, more capable, and more united than ever before, ready to show the universe that underestimation could be humanity's greatest advantage. The moment had finally come for Earth to show the galaxy what it had become. Years of quiet growth, research, and preparation had transformed the planet. What started as small experiments and secret missions had now developed into a civilization capable of achieving extraordinary things. Citizens had learned patience and resilience. Scientists had pushed technology beyond expectations, and leaders had carefully navigated diplomacy across the galaxy. Earth was ready to step into the light. The first step of the demonstration was visible to many worlds. A fleet of human spacecraft, built with advanced propulsion technology and precise engineering, was launched into orbit. Unlike previous missions, this fleet was designed not just for research, but to symbolize Earth's capabilities. Every ship was equipped with instruments that highlighted human ingenuity: solar energy collectors, advanced navigation systems, and research labs capable of handling complex experiments. The fleet moved with perfect coordination, a silent message of discipline and capability. Across Earth, people watched the launches with pride and excitement. Citizens understood that this was more than a mission. It was a statement. Families gathered around screens, schools organized viewing events, and communities celebrated quietly, knowing that humanity was about to prove itself in a way that could no longer be ignored. Children who had grown up learning about the insult from the Council now watched as their world prepared to rise. The story of human perseverance and intelligence had become real for them. As the fleet moved into its position, diplomats reached out to friendly civilizations to ensure that the demonstration would be observed widely. Minor planets that had previously sought Earth's guidance were informed and encouraged to transmit data to other parts of the galaxy. The plan was subtle yet effective. Humanity wanted recognition, not fear. They wanted the galaxy to understand that humans had grown, and they wanted respect, not retaliation. Meanwhile, scientists prepared a series of experiments designed to show Earth's technological advancements. Energy systems capable of powering entire cities, propulsion methods that allowed faster interplanetary travel, and communication networks that could operate across light years were demonstrated simultaneously. Each experiment was broadcast in real time to distant worlds, quietly proving that humans could accomplish what had once seemed impossible. The Council, watching the transmissions, was stunned. Many had assumed that Earth was still a minor player, a planet of emotional, unstable people with crude technology. They had underestimated the patience, intelligence, and ingenuity of humanity. For the first time, they began to realize that their dismissal had been a mistake. Some members exchanged worried glances, whispering among themselves. The image of coordinated human fleets, advanced stations, and flawless experiments contradicted everything they had believed. Humans remained calm throughout the demonstration. They did not celebrate loudly or boast about their achievements. Instead, they allowed the results to speak for themselves. The fleet operated without error. The stations completed their experiments flawlessly, and the data transmitted showed efficiency and creativity far beyond what the Council had expected. There was no aggression, no threat, just undeniable capability. On Earth, the mood was one of quiet satisfaction. Citizens knew that they had accomplished something extraordinary. Scientists, engineers, and pilots, who had worked tirelessly for years, were recognized and celebrated. Schools and communities highlighted the contributions of ordinary people who had volunteered, shared ideas, and supported the projects. Humanity was proving, through action, that it could achieve greatness together. The subtlety of the demonstration made it even more effective. While minor civilizations were inspired and impressed, the Council had no reason to believe humans were attempting anything aggressive. This allowed Earth to reveal its strength without provoking immediate hostility. The careful balance of visibility and restraint demonstrated not only technological capability, but strategic intelligence, a combination that few civilizations could match. Council members struggled to maintain composure during the presentations. Some tried to downplay the significance of human achievements, calling them impressive but isolated. Others attempted to point out potential flaws. Yet each suggestion was met with evidence of preparation and foresight. Humans had anticipated questions, challenges, and doubts, and they had answered every one calmly, confidently, and accurately. The old perception of humans as unpredictable and emotional was clearly fading. Diplomats continued to build alliances quietly during this period. Minor civilizations who had observed Earth's demonstration began to reach out, requesting guidance, collaboration, and trade agreements. They admired the careful planning, intelligence, and capability of humans. Some offered support in return, strengthening Earth's position in the galaxy even further. By the time the Council fully realized what was happening, Earth had already created a network of allies and collaborators who respected its achievements. The next phase of the demonstration involved communication. Humans broadcast messages not of threat or conquest, but of collaboration, innovation, and cooperation. They shared knowledge openly with willing civilizations, offering solutions to common challenges in energy, research, and interplanetary travel. This approach surprised many Council members who had expected humans to act recklessly or emotionally. Instead, humans demonstrated that they could think strategically, act responsibly, and inspire others simultaneously. The effect on the Council was profound. Even those who had openly insulted humanity were forced to reconsider their assumptions. The species they had dismissed as weak and emotional had grown stronger, more capable, and more disciplined than anyone had imagined. Some members began to speak cautiously and respectfully, acknowledging that humanity could not be ignored. Others remained skeptical, but the evidence was undeniable. Humans had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with in both technology and diplomacy. Meanwhile, on Earth, the celebration was quiet but meaningful. People did not need loud parades or speeches. They understood the significance of what had been accomplished. Scientists, engineers, and leaders were recognized, not for personal glory, but for their contributions to humanity's success. Citizens felt pride not in domination, but in achievement, collaboration, and resilience. The demonstration had shown the galaxy what humans could do when united and focused. The subtle strength of humanity became even more apparent as minor challenges were handled flawlessly. Technical glitches were solved in real time, coordination between fleets and stations remained seamless, and communication with allies remained efficient and reliable. Each success reinforced the impression that humans were not only capable of growth, but also capable of intelligent, deliberate action on a large scale. This period marked a turning point. Humanity had transformed from the species insulted by the Council into a civilization respected, observed, and increasingly admired across the galaxy. The demonstration had been more than a show of technology. It had been a demonstration of patience, preparation, and strategic intelligence. Humans had shown that underestimation could be a dangerous mistake for anyone in the galaxy. Citizens reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From the initial insult to quiet years of growth to carefully planned demonstrations, humans had learned the value of persistence, cooperation, and intelligence. Ordinary people who had contributed in small ways understood that every effort mattered. The insult had become a catalyst for progress, driving humanity to achieve things that once seemed impossible. For the Council, the lesson was clear, even if not fully accepted by all members. Humanity could not be dismissed, underestimated, or ignored. The species they had mocked had grown into a capable, disciplined, and intelligent civilization. Respect could no longer be optional. It was required. And for Earth, the demonstration was only the beginning. The planet had shown the galaxy its capabilities without aggression, arrogance, or recklessness. It had proven that patience, unity, and careful planning could transform a species once underestimated into a force that demanded acknowledgement. Humanity had risen quietly, thoughtfully, and deliberately, and the galaxy had no choice but to take notice. Through it all, the people of Earth understood an important truth. True strength was not about domination, but about preparation, intelligence, and collaboration. They had achieved something extraordinary, not through anger or revenge, but through consistent, deliberate effort. And in this achievement, humanity discovered a new sense of identity and purpose, one that would guide them in the galaxy for generations to come.